owner except for two. All right. And they're trying to get one of those to an NBA owner, which is the Houston Rockets owner. And they announced that they brave, stunning, and courageously would authorize a strike. Now, as you can imagine, and I've made a couple of videos about this, and I did a video yesterday morning because David Sampson, who's a really, really freaking smart sports business guy, came out and said,
Team USA Basketball has delivered what fans have been anticipating, releasing exclusive practice footage featuring Caitlin Clark competing against fellow WNBA athletes. This marks the first synchronized video of Clark with a basketball since early July, representing a significant moment for basketball enthusiasts who have been waiting months for new content. The footage rollout began with Clark's arrival in Durham, North Carolina for the training camp. Initial images showed her looking focused and prepared, creating anticipation for what would follow. Within hours, additional content emerged showing Clark and Aaliyah Boston reaching the facility, with Clark removing her outerwear and preparing for practice activities. Shortly after, images surfaced of Clark reuniting with Cameron Brink.
Business guy came out and said, the NBA is going to draw the line on revenue sharing, and they will draw the line to the point of shutting the WNBA's doors down. They are not going to give the revenue sharing that the WNBA players want, and the women will compromise. And so I had a theory when I made that video that they did this to publicly save face.
Clark wore jersey number 17 during these sessions, which appears to be a new number for her. According to reports, Team USA participants were assigned numbers rather than choosing their own, explaining the unfamiliar digit. The content generated immediate engagement, with early posts accumulating tens of thousands of views rapidly. Additional photographs showed various players including Kelsey Plum, Aaliyah Boston appearing in excellent condition, and Juju Watkins. Watkins remains inactive currently due to an ACL injury, but expectations suggest she will return to court action by September.
They did this to publicly save face before they decide to accept the deal. Now, keep in mind something, and I didn't bring this up. I included this in the video, but there's been a new offer from the owners and by the end of the new CBA offer, the new max contract would be like a hair under $2 million. Well, the max contract now is $250,000, $249. Let's call it $250. So
practice footage reveals Clark shooting basketballs for the first time publicly in months. She appeared to be wearing Kobe Bryant's signature shoes, though the specific model looked unfamiliar. The footage shows Cameron Brink and other players closely observing Clark during shooting drills, with multiple athletes keeping their attention focused on her movements. Defensive sequences captured Clark guarding Paige Buchers during scrimmage play. In one possession, Clark appeared to execute solid defense, staying in front of Buchers effectively.
Let's call it 250. So you mean to tell me y'all are not going to sign a deal where you get, let's call it a 7.5 to 8 times raise? You're not signing a deal with a 7 times salary increase. Let's just call it 7 times. Are you absurd? I mean, that's a great way for these players to lose the support of fans. By the way, they're losing the support of.
However, subsequent clips showed competitive back-and-forth action, with Buchers managing to get past Clark's defense on another play, demonstrating the high-level competition occurring during these sessions. Beyond the competitive aspects, the footage provided crucial information about Clark's physical condition. Her ability to jump and move explosively during practice represents significant news, as her mobility had been questioned following her injury-affected season. Clark demonstrated full vertical leap capability and quick lateral movement, suggesting complete recovery from any lingering physical issues. Specifically, concerns about groin or other lower body problems appear resolved based on her movement patterns.
Losing the support of fans. Because the biggest complaint all these years is they didn't get paid enough money. Oh, but we get to this year and we want more money and we want to revenue share in a league that's never turned a profit. And it's like, what is going on here? What are you thinking? Oh, but the league will revenue share. They just want an actual profit to be made, and then they'll share some of it.
The footage shows Clark participating in full 5-on-5 basketball without apparent limitations, lifting off the ground during plays and displaying the athleticism that characterized her earlier career. This represents a dramatic improvement from several months prior, when such activity seemed uncertain. All released content originates directly from Team USA Basketball, as no credentialed media personnel received access to the Durham facility. The organization maintains complete control over what footage reaches the public, giving them discretion over narrative and presentation. This media restriction suggests the organization takes these training sessions seriously and wants to manage information flow carefully.
Of it seems pretty reasonable to me. So let's look at some reaction. All right, because I've given it a couple of days. You see there, I bookmarked this so I could go back to it. Clowns. I mean, this is, whoa. They're so emboldened by the attention received by a single player, yet they resent her nonetheless. I mean, whoa.
The timing of this content release addresses a significant void in women's basketball coverage. WNBA offseason has left fans without fresh material involving the league's most prominent figure. Clark's return to competitive basketball, even in practice settings, immediately generated trending status on social media platforms. Fan reactions emphasized desire for additional footage, particularly highlighting Clark's signature long-range shooting ability. While the competitive practice clips demonstrate legitimate basketball activity, supporters specifically want to see her shooting from deep distances, the skill that made her famous during her collegiate and professional career.
I mean, whoa. I mean, honestly, it's crazy. Shooting themselves in the foot, and for what? This is not going to end well. The entire leadership made up of players who have ownership stakes in other leagues, and it's beneficial for them to kill the WNBA. When are the rest of the players going to boot them out of their roles? Embarrassing as F. I still don't get it.
The significance extends beyond simple practice footage. This represents Clark's official return to competitive basketball activities after an extended absence. Her participation in Team USA training camp signals renewed focus on national team goals and potential roster positioning for future international competitions, including the 2028 Olympics, now less than 4 years away. Clark's physical readiness, combined with her evident enthusiasm during these sessions, suggests an athlete who has successfully recovered from a difficult season. The footage shows someone moving freely, competing hard, and displaying the physical capabilities necessary for elite-level basketball.
I still don't get it. I still don't get it. How that could be happening. I will stop watching the WNBA cold turkey like how I left my first wife. Don't mess this up. They definitely have the wrong players representing the players. And I don't understand why none of that's... There's things that go on in this league that would never, ever, a million times ever, be accepted in other professional...
Her interactions with teammates, including moments of levity and serious competition, paint a picture of someone fully engaged in the process. Team USA Basketball's decision to release this content fulfills a strategic purpose beyond simple fan service. The footage reestablishes Clark's presence in the basketball conversation, reignites interest in women's basketball during the offseason, and demonstrates the program's commitment to showcasing its talent. The immediate engagement metrics validate this approach, with rapid view counts and trending topics confirming sustained public interest. Moving forward, expectations center on continued content releases from Durham.
The lockout. Now, we know Caitlin Clark is a big advocate for the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham just came on record that she's not doing the Project B. She has not done Unrivaled. She is a strong supporter of the WNBA as a whole. So we all know that. Now, I'm not making this video to point fingers at Caitlin Clark, saying that she is the one that is possibly holding out, but it is looking spooky. Now, there's articles being reported on about Caitlin Clark possibly.
Fans anticipate additional footage showing Clark's shooting prowess, her playmaking abilities, and her integration with other national team candidates. The initial release established the template, confirming Clark's health and competitive readiness while generating significant attention. Future releases will likely build on this foundation, providing deeper insights into training camp activities and player development. The WNBA faces a significant challenge defending the Caitlin Clark pick and roll, particularly with recent developments in Aaliyah Boston's offensive capabilities. Traditional defensive schemes require either aggressive trapping or strong positioning at the screen level to contain Clark's effectiveness.
Possibly being the person has been holding out. Let's head on over to Google right now and pull up this article because this is a very interesting but touchy topic. Goes on to say, did Caitlin Clark vote in favor of the WNBA strike? Fans think they've figured it out. Now it says WNBA players move closer to edge as the labor talks drag on.
The problem intensifies when considering Boston's evolution as a floor spacer. Previously, Boston would execute short rolls in the mid-range area, creating tighter passing windows that defenders
on to resurface. They said the WNBA collective bargaining negotiation are no longer seemingly quietly in the background. They are now firmly in the open, with players making it clear that they are prepared to escalate if talks continue to stall. So from my understanding, if they strike, that is the ultimate FU to the owners, bro. Now on Thursday, the Women's Basketball Players Association announced that its executive committee has been.
When Boston sets the screen and pops beyond the arc, defenders face impossible choices. In observed sequences, even when physical contact disrupts the play, Clark still finds Boston open. If help arrives from the weak side, other shooters become available underneath or in corners. This creates a cascading defensive breakdown with no correct answer. The situation becomes more threatening if Indiana adds a legitimate stretch forward to their rotation.
Players Association announced that its executive committee has been authorized to call a strike when necessary. Goes on to say, according to Annie Constable, which Annie Constable did release a video. Let me go to her X account real quick because I want to show y'all this. So Annie Constable kind of broke all of this down in a video today. So this just came out today on Annie Constable X account. Let's listen to what she's saying.
In a historic vote, WNBA players overwhelmingly.
Having multiple players capable of spacing to the three-point line while also operating in high-low actions creates endless problems for opposing defenses. Against a player who commands automatic double teams and requires hard hedges off every screen, having intelligent screeners and rollers becomes essential. Boston's screening and rolling ability stands out as elite. Comparisons to other frontcourt players who struggled setting proper angles or rolling to productive positions highlight Boston's value. Without Boston's intelligence and positioning, Clark's turnover numbers would likely spike dramatically given the defensive pressure she attracts.
Overwhelmingly approved a strike authorization. 93% of players participated in the vote, and of those 93% of players, 98% voted yes. Now hold up. Before you work yourself up, this does not mean that a strike is happening right now, but it does mean that players have the right to call a strike if they feel that labor negotiations are breaking down. So why does this matter? Players and the league remain far apart on several key issues. Among them are revenue sharing.
Finding another player with similar court awareness and screening fundamentals remains a priority. The high-low combination possibilities extend to potential future roster additions. Speculation about veteran stars potentially joining Indiana isn't unrealistic, especially with potential changes to core player designation rules. A hypothetical pairing with someone like Breanna Stewart would create unstoppable scoring opportunities, as Stewart possesses similar basketball intelligence and could consistently get open looks operating off Clark's gravity. Even without marquee additions, role players with defensive versatility and offensive IQ could fill necessary spots.
Issues. Among them are revenue sharing, free agency rules, retirement benefits, and family planning support. Breanna Stewart said she would welcome help from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver at the bargaining table, which can be looked at as an indication that negotiations are not progressing in a constructive manner. The league, meanwhile, says negotiations are ongoing and points to proposed increases in salaries and revenue sharing to support their characterization that they're committed to getting a transformational deal done. What makes this moment even bigger is that the WNBA has never had a
Someone like Elizabeth Williams, who brings defensive awareness and passing ability, could contribute more effectively in certain rotations than higher usage players who might disrupt offensive flow. The key involves finding players who understand when to cut, when to space, and when to facilitate rather than dominate possessions. Looking ahead, the Clark-Boston tandem should define Indiana's offensive approach. Success doesn't require Clark scoring at high volumes. Distributing while maintaining tempo and generating quality attempts for teammates creates winning basketball. A scenario where Clark averages moderate point totals but facilitates efficient offense while Mitchell or other scorers flourish remains perfectly acceptable.
Transformational deal done. What makes this moment even bigger is that the WNBA has never had a player strike in its nearly 3 decades long history. And as the WNBA continues to grow, more attention, more revenue, more star power, this vote stands to define the next era of women's sports as a whole.
That was Annie Constable earlier today on her X account speaking about this, and she captioned this with Thursday, WNBA players approve a strike authorizing that saw 93% participation and a 98%.
The emphasis should remain on ball movement, pace, and creating advantages through Clark's playmaking rather than isolation scoring. Clark's ability to attack downhill when defenses play soft coverage adds another dimension. Without proper hedge defense, Clark reaches the paint and excels at finding corner shooters like Lexi Hull, who converts three-pointers at elite percentages. This forces defenses into no-win situations, either allow Clark's penetration and kickouts, or commit extra defenders and leave Boston open. Single coverage against the pick and roll doesn't work because Clark's downhill attacking, particularly going right, proves too effective.
And a 98% vote yes. So people is insinuating, going back to the article, that Caitlin Clark is the one who held out. Now, the article goes on to say that kind of turnout is rare and intentional. It shows unity, not urgency. Now, it goes on to say, with no names being released, guesswork fills the gaps, and one name surfaced repeatedly. Caitlin Clark, probably part of that 2% that voted no. One fan.
She consistently makes correct reads when reaching the paint, finding open shooters or finishers. The combination of Clark's court vision, Boston's extended range, and surrounding shooters creates an offensive ecosystem difficult to disrupt without perfect defensive execution. Free agency considerations should prioritize complementary pieces rather than overlapping skill sets. Adding players who maximize existing strengths makes more sense than acquiring names that don't fit the system. If current roster members seek opportunities elsewhere, replacements should target players with proven chemistry, playing off elite point guards, specifically those comfortable making quick decisions without demanding high usage rates.